So we're really excited. We have our podcast coming out next Tuesday.
Extremely excited.
Rewilding Love.
It's been a long time coming, but it's here at last. I think it's going to be really good. Well, I know it's going to be really good. It is good. It's fantastic.
You have listened to it, haven't you?
I have listened to it. But I think they will think it's going to be really good.
I hope so.
There's some very exciting, juicy moments, but we can't talk too much about it. Can't give the game away.
Well, it's excerpts from a recorded couples intensive we did with one couple who were on the brink of divorce.
On very rocky ground, I'd say.
But we'll leave it there.
Yes, let's leave it there. But we thought that it might be apropos to talk about a situation that befell us last week and to use the subject of presence or lack thereof as a title for this particular, I nearly said podcast, this particular vlog, where something terrible happened last Wednesday.
Very sad.
Very sad. Last Wednesday, I think it was, where I found myself in a pretty sped up state of mind. And in that state of mind, it is safe to say that one generally isn't showing up in the most optimal way in this human experience. And I made a dreadful mistake, and I will let you articulate what said dreadful mistake was, because you always seem to do a much better job than me.
Well, you accidentally deleted a recording. So we have our first podcast season launching next Tuesday, but in the meantime, Angus and I recorded another intensive with a couple for our second season. And we did that a couple weekends ago. And we use the same recording device for the intensives that we use for the vlogs. And so when we went to do our vlog, Angus mistakenly deleted the content of one of our sessions, which really doesn't sound like the end of the world right now when I say it, but at the time I remember feeling very upset. So upset.
That's to put it mildly.
So upset that I scared you by how upset it was.
You did. It was quite traumatic for me.
It was a hard experience for both of us.
It was so scary that it was even difficult for me to be upset, and I was feeling really upset. But my feelings were overridden by how traumatized you were.
I was more upset.
You were.
Anyway, but I'm getting over it now.
Yeah. So anyway, I feel like I think that if there is any silver lining, and maybe it's too soon to even see the silver lining, but if there were to be a silver lining, I feel like what has started to come forward for me is that I'm aware how I do spend a good portion of my day having this blind spot around being sped up. So I've been looking for it now. And this morning I had this interesting experience where I was making my morning cup of matcha, and I was putting all the ingredients in the latte machine, turning it on, waiting for it to froth, and I found myself pacing up and down the kitchen. And it was interesting because I don't think I've ever really noticed myself doing that, and I wonder if I do that every day. But I was actually pacing up and down the kitchen and realizing, it's like, what are you doing? Where is your mind going? And I think that the initial reference points that I had, because I guess my analytical machinery is looking for a reference point. I remembered this experience of being in a zoo some years ago and seeing a lion walk up and down the cage, like pacing up and down the cage. And thinking that lion must be mentally ill, and why wouldn't it be after all these years of incarceration in this tiny small cage? And it occurred to me, it's like, oh my goodness, I'm just like that mentally ill lion pacing up and down, watching the tea being latte'd. And I know that sounds extreme, but I think that could be the beginnings of that kind of mindset where you start to find yourself getting really sped up. I wasn't present, I wasn't in the moment, I was really literally getting into a state where I'm trying to forecast all the things that are going to be needed to get done that day or this day, and getting into some negative future fantasy, getting into some worry, getting into some anxiety, and that's borne out in my physiology, pacing up and down. So a long verbose way of pointing to where my state of mind was last Wednesday when I made this mistake. Normally I would set the equipment up and I would always ask you the question, have you got what you need off this card before I reformat it? And I just didn't, because I think I was very much like that lion, or how I was the kitchen, just got all of these things on my mind, trying to process all these things that haven't even happened yet.
Yeah.
But what was happening, I was building up speed. And that's not a good way for me to go through life. I want to be much more present to what is. And there's a real learning for me there, and I hope to become more cognizant in that department. But you can see how important it is in relationships. So many people that we see complain about their partner not being present. And it's because they're off with their imaginary friends trying to fix the world, rather than being present in the moment with their significant other.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like it's such a simple thing to be present, but when we realize how habituated we are to be thinking and going off, like you're saying, in our mind, it's actually not usually the normal. It may be simple, it may be easy, but it's not typically the norm.
No, and I think that I thought for myself that, I probably have got this kind of handled, knowing what I know and teaching what I teach. And I think last week was just a bit of a wake-up call for me, where I realized that, you know what? There's definitely some significant room for improvement for me here. And I think I've developed a greater sense of awareness around it. So much so that this morning I'm noticing that I'm pacing up and down.
Yeah.
And I hope to get hit to more examples of the ways that I do that. I hope there are more indicators that let me see where I get sped up, because I think that's going to be enormously beneficial for my well-being.
Well, the biggest indicator that we all have as human beings for that is our feelings. Our feeling state lets us know what's going on with our state of mind. So if in our feeling state you're feeling like a pent-up caged lion, you know that your thinking's got a bit busy. And really it's a learning curve that we're all on. I'm on that learning curve, you're on it. We're all waking up to seeing where our experience comes from, so that we can be less engaged with all of the noise and more connected with the deeper feelings of peace and well-being that reside within. And the only thing that takes us out of that is when we get caught up. But yet, I'm still learning that. I still get caught up, but it's an ongoing revelation, revealing.
It could be a revelation. But it was, it's been a revelation to me that there are so many blind spots.
Yeah.
And I think that, it's easy to say that, let our feelings be our guide, but quite often that feeling is a blind spot to me.
Yeah.
So for me now, moving forward, I just want to shed some light in that department.
Well, we have to notice what our feeling state is. I think what happens is we get habituated to an unhealthy feeling state and don't even pay attention to the feedback system anymore. It's like driving along with the car check engine light on and not doing anything about it.
That's true. Yeah, I think that I may have been guilty of that in the past. And you may have complained about it.
Well, it didn't seem like a smart thing to do.
No, this is going back many years, but in a sense it's exactly like that.
Yeah.
The check engine light can be blinking away. That's all right. I'll figure it out. I'll do something about that next week, and then of course you forget, and then it becomes normal.
Yeah.
So I want that to stop being normal.
Yeah.
I want to get eyes for it.
You want to notice the feedback in the system.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully this has helped you to recognize the greater capacity that you have to drop into the present moment. Maybe our experience with deleting the recording will help you to get more present, so you don't have to confront something like that in your own life.
It certainly helped me. Well, I hope it will be my teacher in due course. Again, too soon, I think, to really feel like I'm there yet.
Well, have a great weekend, and we hope you tune into our podcast, Rewilding Love, that's out next Tuesday.
Yeah, have a great weekend.
Take care.
Bye.